feel like Mike Jordan. Give me the rock and I'm scoring. Hey, came from the bottom, that's foreign. I swear that I'm up for the sun in the morning. Yeah, they know that we ain't the same. 402, we rap the game. I told them this ain't a game.
Yo, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Big League Chicago. I'm Rick here with Jack. We're going to be joined by a couple of the other fellas later, and we are brought to you by Star 6 Media. So you can do us a favor, hit that like, hit that subscribe, follow button, whatever you want to do, and then share us if you guys wouldn't mind. That'd be great. Jack, what's up, man? How you doing?
Not too bad. As I've been very vocal about. I mean, it's tough times in Chicago. There's no doubt about it. I was in the building for a tough 7-1 shellacking last night for the Rangers, in favor of the Rangers over the Blackhawks.
Oh yeah.
The Bulls, I heard, lost. They gave up 150 last night. You know, the Bears gave the Eagles actually a run for their money, so you can be excited about that. But
tip your cap to that.
The fact is, it's dark times.
Definitely agree.
And just to quickly tie the knot on the night for it, there will be no Blackhawks talk because they've lost they're 3 in the last 25 plus. So the fact is they suck. They're awful. They don't deserve our time tonight. We'll talk about it a little bit later down the road.
Jack went like in the notes, that we share. He's like, don't have to talk about Blackhawks. They suck. There's nothing to talk about.
Yep.
I love it.
Yep.
I love it. Well, let's start off with a bit of a positive note first here. Let's start off with the crosstown convo. So Cubs and Sox made some signings, a couple signings this past week. If you guys saw the Instagram, TikTok, whatever we're on, you saw my kind of a breakdown of what happened. But Jack, do you want to go first with the Sox signing, or you want me to go ahead with the Cubs first?
It doesn't matter to me. I'll let you go first. I'm in a good mood tonight.
Yeah. I mean, true. We're already not talking Hawks. So yeah, I think Jack has crossed that river. But all right, let's start off with the Cubs signing. They signed their shortstop, one of the top 4 shortstops, I guess, in the free agent market this year. Dansby Swanson to a 7-year, $177 million deal. The deal does include a full no trade clause and no opt out as well. There was speculation that Swanson was going to be the guy that ended up in Chicago. Especially a couple weeks ago, we had an episode where you and Eric were talking about how he married Mallory Pugh, who is a player for the Chicago Red Stars soccer team. So there was like talks about that. Oh, he's definitely going to Chicago, this and that.
Well, it's funny that you bring up Mallory Pugh because I think she's officially Chicago's #1 recruiter because you're seeming that no one else is able to recruit for shit. So the fact is Cubs fans have to be really excited with this signing. It kind of takes a little bit of stress off of Cubs fans because a lot of reports were that there weren't going to be the spenders that people expected them to be coming into this offseason. And then you finally see them add their longtime shortstop. So you can be excited that it does fill a hole that you can see in that infield. It puts someone like Nick Madrigal actually on the outside looking in. So it should be interesting to see kind of how the Cubs could build around this. And like you said in your little your short, 25 plus home runs the last 2 years. So that's added power. And unfortunately, you did just lose a guy with 20 plus home runs in Contreras, but it always helps to add. And the fact is that a little bit younger and a little bit more in his prime. So you should be excited with this one. And the fact is it clears a little bit off of Jed Hoyer and the front office's backs with the fact that they were able to spend some money. And it's pretty funny to compare it to the Sox latest free agency when we get deal when we get there.
For sure. And yeah, like you said, I mentioned my short 25 plus home runs last 2 seasons. I think he had 27 the season prior. He has a gold glove, and just last year he got that. It moves Nico Horner over to second base, which he was a finalist for second base gold glove in 2020. So, it kind of what I said as well, like it definitely makes that middle infield better defensively. You do get that increased production offensively with the home runs that Dansby Swanson brings in. And Nico, Nico, I guess, gets his RBIs here and there, but I mean, it's nothing that really jumps off the page for a second baseman or a shortstop. But you bring in a guy like Dansby Swanson, and yes, it definitely makes it just a better middle infield. We got Eric here in the comments. Fellas, what's up, Eric? How you doing, man? Eric is going, even though Swanson was the main guy, I feel like the Cubs could have done more. There's still time left to fill up the squad. And that's true. But, we will get to that. Jack did make a good point about Nicky two strikes kind of on the outside looking in. I think, I don't know, man. He just cannot stay healthy for the life of him. It's tough for him to play an entire season, and you saw that last year. So I don't know. I'm not a fan of really Nick Madrigal anymore. I really thought coming into last year, he was going to be a guy for the rebuilding. And, he showed that he's not. And I mean, that's fine. It's just you are or you aren't. But I really love the Dansby Swanson signing just because it's like, hey, we did bring a big name and we brought in some run production as well.
No, without a doubt. And the fact is this will make you guys a more competitive team. I think they need to shore up a catcher. I'm hearing Tucker Barnhart. Has been the big talks of who the Cubs might bring in to platoon with, what is it, Yan Gomes? Is that who the other one is?
Yan Gomes, yeah, I think. And they even had PJ Higgins up for a few games last year, too.
Yeah, so, I think this team will improve on paper. Do I see them as competitors with St. Louis? Not yet, but no. It's a direction you'd like to see the Cubbies taking. Mm-hmm. And the fact is they will be more competitive. And they could inch in a wild card spot. And now that they've got the expanded playoffs in the MLB, but there's no reason to complain as a Cubs fan with this offseason. It's B-ish in my book is what I'm going to say. I think, obviously Talion helps. That was made official today. You'll see the Bellinger, and then obviously now the Swanson deal is made official within the upcoming week or so. So a lot of money spent from the Cubs to start the free agency period, and it's something you can be a bit proud of. That's what I'd say.
Honestly, yeah, man. I think Cubs fans are a little bit happy. Obviously, like Eric said, there's still time left to fill up the squad. And you mentioned, we just lost Wilson Contreras as well. So there's got to be a couple more moves made, I think, for Cubs fans and myself to be happy with this offseason. But it's a step in the right direction, like you said. So, Cubs made that move.
It still allows you guys to bring up guys through the pipeline, and you've seen it obviously this last year, and I think you've got a few other guys that will come through. And if PJ Higgins ends up being the starting catcher by the end of the season, that's a huge plus for you guys, because that means he's developed into and something that the Cubs feel confident enough to name as a starting catcher, having two veterans on the roster, being Yan Gomes and ideally and expected another veteran catcher added to that platoon. But yeah, exciting stuff.
All right, let's shift the focus off to the south side. I don't think you're very happy with these moves.
Oh, it's funny. I mean, I don't know, for anyone on White Sox Twitter, you saw out there the GoFundMe that picked up traction. I think there ended up being enough donated for 2 billboards around the stadium with the message of sell the team, Jerry. So you love that from the fan base. They're letting know they're upset, but the fact is they finally brought in a left-handed bat, and that being Andrew Benintendi, most recently with the Yankees, before that being with the Kansas City Royals, before breaking into the league with the Red Sox. World Series champion 2018. Yeah. So you love that. Obviously, yes, he was young. It was his second year in the league. But the fact is, it is a left-handed at-bat. He can play kind of both the corner positions of the outfield. You kind of slot him in left field. Hope Collis comes up and takes right. and then put Lou Bob in center, and that'd be your outfield with Eloy being kind of the DH. So the outfield is a little bit more solidified. That doesn't mean they've filled the void at second base. Right now, it looks like a so-so or a prospect might fill that void at this moment in time. There are still some veteran guys out there, Gene Segura, and more veterans out there. Obviously, Segura didn't hit well throughout the playoffs, but a guy who is a good fielder and would be an upgrade. So I don't know. It should be interesting. I mean, that people on White Sox Twitter to refer to it have said, "Oh, what about a reunion with Nicky Two Strikes?" So the fact is, I don't see that happening, but maybe it would be fun to see him back in the Sox uniform. He really seemed to flourish in that second year. But
would you want him back?
I wouldn't mind him. I think what you're getting with him. I think the fact is he is a disciplined hitter. You did hit it on the head of the nail that can't stay healthy.
Yeah.
It's been a huge issue to start his young career, but the fact is he's a first-round pick, young, talented kid out of Vanderbilt, I believe. So there was a reason that people were highly in favor of this guy, and the fact is I still think there is some talent to be shown there. So if he does stay healthy, maybe you'll see him as that kind of backup second base shortstop. But in reality, I know when the Cubs made that deal, they expected him to be their starting second baseman, but hasn't taken shape quite at this moment. But no, I think the biggest hole at this point would be second base. Adding Clevenger helps. Should be a bit of a prove-it deal for Mike Clevenger on the 1 year, $12 million or whatever it is. Yeah. Obviously, and as we had a little bit of your tribute to Willie on signing with the Cardinals, and you had to hop in on 3 Up 3 Down's latest free agency breakdown. But the fact is, Carlos Rodon, after not qualifying, extending a qualifying offer 2 years ago, ends up in pinstripes. It's a tough one to swallow. But the fact is, Carlos Rodon, now a New York Yankee.
That's rough.
Sox could have sealed the deal much earlier and kept him. I'm sure he would have taken a deal from the Sox, given the fact that they drafted him. But the fact is, they didn't want to give the money to a guy that couldn't stay healthy at the time, and the fact is he's proved it in the last 2 seasons, and all the credit in the world to Carlos, all the credit in the world. But just painful to see him in the pinstripes, obviously.
Making that money in New York for sure. Yes, but yeah, it looks like it's you and Alex love Rodon so much that I'm sure him going to the Yankees was just like shit.
Well, he was a personality that you just loved, and he was a guy that it'd been 5-6 years or 7 years of trying to stay healthy, trying to break through. There were some signs of promise, and then something would flare up in his back or elbow or anything. And the fact is, after he was kind of thrown in with Ethan Katz, he looked great, and it's been a little bit of a revitalization for him. And all the credit in the world. I mean, former first-round pick, the talent was always there. It just was a question of whether or not he'd piece it together. He did it when he was 29, and the fact is he's going to be doing it in New York for at least 5 years.
At least, yeah, for sure. Let us know if you guys are watching in the comments what you think of Dansby Swanson going to the Cubs, and obviously we got Benintendi going to the Sox. South side, north side.
Benny boy.
Making some moves this free agency this offseason. So
at least for a long time before we end out the crosstown convo, I think looking at it in the last 2 weeks, and obviously the Cubs came out of the gates hard, signing Bellinger and Taillon, but it felt for a good few days. I think for both fan bases that we were a major market that just had 2 teams that were cheap as fuck. Thankfully, the Cubs handed out the 170 or whatever it was. The Sox handing out 75 for 5 years. Biggest deal in White Sox history. So breaking records, Jerry, just not really breaking the bank as usual. So yeah, still frustration to be had, but a fun, exciting crosstown convo to kind of get the show started.
Yeah, no, I love it. And I think the 177 of Swanson has been the most since, I think, Hayward. And before that, it was like Soriano back in like 2007 or something like that.
Hayward picked up by the Dodgers, I believe.
Oh, was he really?
I think so.
Wow.
I think so.
He's going to take his 215 average to LA. Love it. Good for him. Let's move on to Positive and a negative at the same time. But let's move on to Bears breakdown. The Bears lose 25-20 against a very good Eagles team, and the fact that they weren't blown out is kind of, it's a positive
Positives.
sign.
Yeah, fucking A. I'm happy about it. I mean,
right?
It was a great performance on Sunday.
You were leaving last week's episode, and you're like, "Oh, it's the Eagles. Oh yeah, they're getting blown out, and they only lost by 5. It's positive, like you said. So again, they only lost by 5. The defense actually looked pretty damn good against Jalen Hurts. They got to him. I think they sacked him once, intercepted him twice. The defense looked good against Fields, man.
You know who really looked good?
Who's that?
Jalen Johnson.
Jalen Johnson looked really good. And, yes, he did.
I'm not going to be around for my 4 stars of the week. I'm already going to take it. I'm going to steal it from all you guys. Jalen Johnson, my star of the week. Excellent coverage of AJ Brown. You did see, which I wasn't too upset about because I've got him, is Smith tore up the Bears secondary for 100+ receiving yards. But no, I was very excited to see Jalen Johnson's performance on Sunday because I thought he was excellent, and he's really establishing himself. And he went on record. He did a Roquan and said he wants to stay as a Bear. God knows that in a year or 2 he'll probably be gone, but the guy wants to stay in Chicago. So you love that. You love it.
I was gonna say, with the way these defensive guys have been going at it, who knows how long it's gonna? Who knows how long they'll be in here? But I think paying for a top tier cornerback, I think it's a good position to pay for. I think pay good money for, but they always do. I don't know. In my opinion, it's like they're good for like about 5 years. They have really good production for about 5 years, and then they just kind of fall off. But
you're seeing someone like Stephen Gilmore, who's been productive this year. So you're seeing guys that are still able to produce. It still happens. And I don't know what year 2 or 3 of Jalen Johnson. So year 3, I do agree with you. I do agree with you. The clock is ticking a little bit, but I don't know. Still young, and he's looking good.
Yeah, again, only year 3. I mean, I think I feel like he's in the prime of his career this year. So I think he's still got a few more years for sure in him. But one of the negatives in the Bears' loss to the Eagles is we did have Tevin Jenkins get carried out on a stretcher. That was a tough look. Yeah, no, I didn't see it either. And they even showed the replay, and it looked like while he was blocking, I don't know, something happened to his neck. Maybe someone bumped into him in the back. It was during a run play, but I didn't see anything either.
Well, first and foremost, all you can hope for, especially with neck injuries and anything dealing with the head or neck or back, first and foremost, worried about the health. Hope he's all right. Yeah. It sounded like we would have heard a little bit more if it was a little bit more serious on the serious end, but still hopes and thoughts to Trevion Jenkins as he recovers. Gotta hope. And first thing I think of with Bears histories and neck injury would be the Johnny Knox neck injury years back, and that's the last thing you want to see, and I do think that ended his career. And obviously most recently the guy from Pittsburgh, I can't remember his name.
Shazier,
Ryan Shazier, yeah. So it's a scary thing. It's a contact sport. That's what they sign up for. But a guy who was really coming into his own in his second year as a Bear, and after all the bullshit this offseason, you like to see him progress in the right direction. Unfortunately, this is a little bit of a step, maybe a little bit of a major step, but we'll find out in the wrong direction. But hopes and prayers that he's all right.
Yeah, no, for sure. Thoughts and prayers up to Tevin Jenkins. He was released from the hospital from reports. Where to say here? Yep. He went down in the first. He was released from the hospital on Monday. Eberflus has said that he'll be seeing during the week to make sure everything just looks good. Everything is looked at for him. Do you think? I mean, there's 3 games left in the season. You think he comes back at all this year?
No. I think you've seen the last of Trevion Jenkins. I mean, anything. I guess Ryan Tannehill was the kind of change of scenery with guys getting carted off and being able to return to the game. He was it was a bad look, and as Eric in the comments said, it did look, I didn't see it, but as of what I've heard and as you described, it didn't look good. So like we said, just gotta hope he's all right.
Yeah, and I agree. I don't think we see him the rest of the year just because he's our best offensive lineman right now that we have. him and I would I would pair him up with Larry Borum there as like the best O lineman the Bears have right now. So and especially with the neck, it can get really, really sensitive in that area. So you don't want to rush him back too early. And he's proven that he's gonna play. So I think he's 100% guaranteed a slot on this, on the starting offensive line next year. So, but yeah, no, for sure.
Well, and it didn't help that I think you saw. I don't think he returned to the game. He may have, but you saw ESQ. I think so. Yeah, I think I'm saying that right.
ESB.
ES.
Equanimous St. Brown.
Okay, ESP. I guess that is what it is. I don't know what the hell it is. You know what I mean? But he also left. I know he left the game early with a concussion.
Yeah, that's
I
right.
don't know if he returned. But the Bears seemingly went down 2 offensive players real quick.
They did, yeah.
But it didn't seem to matter. I mean, you saw a few completions to Pringle in that early first half. Fields throughout the game. Obviously the passing numbers are. Fields has under less than half of what Hurts threw for. Yes, Hurts had 2 picks, but Fields was statistically, in terms of the QBR or whatever the ratings, a better passer in that game. He was smart with the ball. It's a very talented Eagles defense. I mean, they got their sacks. I think they have like 5 or 6 guys that all have like 8 or something sacks in the season. So, that's going to happen. And Justin was smart with the ball. I don't think there were any fumbles. And 2 rushing touchdowns, I believe. So, two passing.
Yeah.
So, you love to see that. It's progression and steps. And, I think as all the Eagles players have been saying and what you're seeing through the media, the guy looks good. They're comparing him to Hurts. They're saying he's a little bit faster. He's a little bit bigger.
Yeah.
Be a little bit scarier. So you love to see that stuff. It's good. It's all good signs for the future. And I thought I was really impressed with Fields in that sense. And it was truthfully a shame that they had to call him out, that he stepped out. But I think they were still able to capitalize on that drive. Eric, I think we will give it a little bit more time before this Bears team can spend some money, and they're looking at the free agent market, and they're ready to spend, even though it's not the biggest pool in the world. But hopefully bringing in some offensive line help and finding some guys maybe through trade or through the free agency period would be huge.
Right on cue. We got Mr. Tony Football joining us live from the home office. Tony,
there he is.
Tony Football.
What it do, baby?
Bears in Illini gear. I love it.
What
just
it
repping,
do, baby?
Just repping. All right, Tony. We were talking how good Justin Fields was looking. One of the positives from the game too, right? He threw for 2 touchdowns. Montgomery rushed for 1 touchdown, but one of the biggest point I think out of this game was Justin Fields has 1,000 yards rushing on the season. So God, Eric, he is not Tony Football. I love it.
Eric, come tell him so that.
Right, Eric. How about I say it to my face, Eric? But clearly you have other plans.
What do you think of Justin Fields' performance against the Eagles?
Oh, Justin Fields is the only bright spot we have right now. I don't want to say the only bright spot going, but he is. He's basically right now for me, the only thing I'm looking forward to in 2023 is Justin Fields and seeing what this Bears team can do with him and his development, right? But as far as him rushing for 1,000 yards, I think it's great. I love it. At the same time, I don't love it because as a quarterback, I don't want my quarterback rushing for 1,000 yards. That's not going to win us this season. At the same time, I also feel like that's what he has to do this season. So, once he's surrounded by talent, I think he'll dial it down for sure. But he needs to develop that passing game because right now that's what the league is about, man. It's an offensive type league, and he can only run for so far.
You got that right. Rick, before I let you go, I'm gonna hop out here, guys. Hope you guys have a good rest of the episode. I'll try and hop in the comments until I get on the ice, but love talking to you guys. If I don't see you guys before the holiday, have a great Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays.
Thank you. Happy Holidays,
Hanukkah.
man.
Happy Hanukkah as well.
Let's do that hockey.
But yeah, talk soon and have a great rest of your episode.
All right, man. See ya.
See you, buddy.
Yeah. So like you said, I agree 100%, dude. Like, is it awesome to have him rush for 1,000 yards and like be only one of 3 quarterbacks to do that? The other being Lamar and Mike Vick. That's great. I love it. But yes, the passing game should 100% be developed in the offseason. And I think we're going to see that with more weapons, hopefully coming in the future, right? Because, dude, like Montgomery said it once, right? Like Fields is taking hits I take as a running back. And that's not what you want to see. We've said it before week and week after week. The passing game needs to develop. And like you said, this is a passing league. It's not a rushing league. Like when Mike Vick was doing it, it was awesome. It was like, wow, we've never seen this before. And now you got guys like Pat Mahomes, Josh Allen, and even Jalen Hurts, right? Like slinging the ball and making it work through the air. So again, I love to see it, but he's got to develop.
But with them, with Patrick Mahomes and Jalen Hurts, they're at least incorporating a lot of different passing options and passing plays in general. Justin Fields is only the 3rd quarterback to ever do this, rush for 1,000 yards in a season. Lamar Jackson did it twice, and Michael Vick was the only quarterback. So there's 3 quarterbacks: Lamar Jackson, Mike Vick, and Justin Fields.
Mm-hmm.
But again, if you look at these other 2 quarterbacks that have done it, they haven't been remotely close, in my opinion, to a championship. Lamar Jackson, that Ravens. Honestly, I don't think it's his fault. It's more of the Ravens and what they're doing for him. I don't want the Bears going that route. And I don't think they will.
Mm-hmm.
But they got to surround him with talent. They got to surround Justin Fields with talent, man. So that way he's able to develop his passing game. And that's the thing too. Remember, we were only down 5 points, at the end of that game, and look who we were missing on the offensive side of the ball. We had no receiver. N'Keal Harry was out. Chase Claypool was out.
Yep.
Darnell Mooney, we know, was out.
Equinemius St. Brown got out.
Exactly, he went out.
Yeah.
We were literally stuck with Pettis, Pringle, you know what I mean, and Velus Jones. Like it was guys like that we had to rely on.
Don't even get me started with Velus Jones. I'm already mad at him for fumbling again. For like, out of the 4 or 5 games he's been in, he's fumbled four times already. Like, come on, dude, get it together.
He's consistently. I don't know what he has to work on. If he has to work on hand strength or arm strength or whatever, bro. But like, you start using some sticky glue. I don't care, man. Like you're a wide receiver.
Yeah,
you're a wide receiver.
He needs to do that old school method of just carrying the football around with him everywhere he goes, so he doesn't let go.
Yes,
like everywhere. Oh my god, I saw that play and I was like, and the funny thing is, like, I saw the ball pop out and I was like, oh, it's gonna go out of bounds, right? The ball died on the grass and the Eagles picked it up. I was like, of course, that's exactly our luck, dude. Like, come on.
It's ridiculous. It's almost every game Velus Jones is gonna do something. It's gonna be a fumble for sure,
and it's gonna look stupid while he does.
That pick right now, Ryan Poles. He's scratching. What am I doing?
He's kicking himself because I think that was the 3rd pick, right? After
I'm pretty sure he was
Gordon.
Yeah, he was the first wide receiver to get off the board.
Yeah. But yeah, and that's just the lack of talent that we have. And Eric here in the comments, is this going to be the normal Justin rushing for 600 yards, 600 plus yards? And it's seeming that way. And you mentioned Lamar. We mentioned Lamar Jackson, how we don't want him to be that team. Lamar has 1 target, and that's it on his entire team. Like, that's it. Like, he goes to Andrews, and it's like if Mark Andrews is out for a game, it's going to be a Lamar Jackson rushing party, or J.K. Dobbins, or the defense has to step it up because he's got nobody. And that's exactly who I don't want the Bears to be. But again, we have to wait till the offseason to do all this stuff. And like you said, the top 3 wide receivers for him were out, and we still made this a game against the Eagles.
Yeah. And Eric's saying, is this going to be the norm? I hope not. If it is the norm, then the Bears are doing him a disservice still. And, top 3, if you want to say top 4 with N'Keal Harry being something, regardless of the fact, Cole Kmet couldn't have done everything, and he was pretty much non-existent yesterday as well. So
yeah, he was.
Pringle's shown when given the opportunity, when he's not behind a whole bunch of people, he can do something. This is his 2nd touchdown this season so far. I mean,
yeah.
He's shown something, because when he was with the Chiefs, he wasn't bad at all.
And you almost saw in that touchdown, he was like moving. He saw the play was broken up, so he like moved back and he kind of put his hand up, and Justin saw him. And that's something that I feel like someone like a Tua or like a Pat Mahomes will do that. Hey,
Yeah.
if the play looks broken, if I'm scrambling, just try to get open, put your hand up, and I'll try to look for you. And that's exactly what Pringle did. You know, he's got, again, he played with Patrick Mahomes. You almost want someone like that on a team with Justin Fields, someone who can get out of like, you know, a possible sack and have to look downfield and make, you know, a throw if he has to. So, you know, Pringle, not a bad pickup. Obviously not a number one by any means, and he had his offseason issues too, but
Yeah.
he's shown to be not too bad. We were talking about the defense earlier in that, you know, how well they played against Hurts. Is, you know, we talked, me and Jack talked about Jalen Johnson. We talked about Brisker. We talked about Gordon. Sanborn did get hurt. He was out the game. Was there anybody else that kind of stuck out to you on the defense this game?
No, I think Jalen Johnson to me was the one who stuck out the most, to be honest. I know you mentioned, you already mentioned him, but I mean, let's be honest. If it he man, like he gave up some touchdowns, yes, but if not for him, we would have been blown out.
Oh yeah,
because you know, as good as AJ Brown is, he's gonna get his. Doesn't matter who's on him, he's gonna get his. Him and Hurts are really good friends off the field. They have that connection. That he's gonna get his. But Jalen Johnson stopped so many big plays, so many big time plays, with deflections and just the way he's reading the ball right now. It's great. Jack Sanborn was playing well before he went down.
I know,
but
it looked like that was like a big turning point too for the defense. Jack Sanborn getting hurt and getting, you know, taken out of the game pretty much. It seemed like that was an issue too, because that guy's just everywhere. Like you said, he was playing really well and he's everywhere.
Yep. He is everywhere, and with him, it's more instinct. He knows where to be just off instinct alone, and that's why he's not really quick. He just seems quick because it's just he knows where to go. He knows he has a nose for the ball, and that's what's helping him right now. And you know, good on him.
Yeah,
that's
yeah, no, for sure. Good on him. It was a really good game by him, but just by the defense in general. I mean, to only give up 25 points against the Eagles, it's really good. Anytime, especially with the defense that has looked bad really all year, right?
This was a test for us. You know, if you want to test where the Bears are, you test against one of the best teams in the NFL, at least the best team in the NFC. And all this was because of the young talent we have on defense, but also because of Justin Fields. If there was a game where if anybody had questions or anything, this should have answered them all. He is legit. The only thing about Justin Fields the next year is because he doesn't have the talent around him this year. Next year, I'm going to cautious everybody, don't be too high on him right away, because he still has to develop as a passer. Running, we know how he is as a runner. He's amazing. But as a passer, he still has to develop, and that's not going to happen until he has those wide receivers that he can count on to at least be open.
Yeah, and I guess that's a question too, right? Because right now I think they have the number 3 pick with that loss, right? 7 in a row, unfortunately, for the Bears. They moved to 3-11, I believe, was their record. So I think they're the 3rd pick right now behind Denver. Houston and Denver. Yeah. And they're probably, so let's say they go with the pick and they get that defensive end from Alabama, right? As far as receivers, we know we got Chase Claypool. We know we got Mooney. Are you keeping anyone else in that wide receiver room right now for next year?
In the beginning of the season, I wanted to keep EQ St. Brown, but he's been showing, he's just not consistently open for me. So the answer is no. Chase Claypool and Darnell Mooney are the only 2 I'm keeping. N'Keal Harry's had so many chances. It doesn't seem to be working out. He's very inconsistent. Yeah. Same with Byron Pringle. I don't know anybody else. Pettis, no, don't want him. I don't want Velus Jones. I know he's a rookie. I don't even want him on this team next year. Darnell Mooney, I would take only because you should, if you're Ryan Poles, grab at least a potential number 1 wide receiver, whether it's through the draft or via free agency. I don't think there's any via free agency, but at least try to get one, a really good one coming out the draft that could potentially be your number 1. Chase Claypool should be your number 2, and then you have Mooney in the slot.
Yeah,
and I think that'll open up a lot for Mooney, and then that opens up a lot for Cole Kmet as well. So you get one really good wide receiver. Let Chase Claypool, get an off season with under this offense and see what he can do, because we know he could be a good wide receiver. His first year, he was great. He just needs time to develop. I mean, look what last year I think was an anomaly year for him because you had Ben Roethlisberger in the tail end of his career, and then this year you have Mitch Trubisky starting. You know what I mean? So it's like he was fucked to begin with. So it's like
he's had a rough couple years. He had like a like just broken Ben Roethlisberger, and like you said, Mitch Trubisky that was struggling, and then they tried Kenny Pickett too. So it was a rookie, right, coming in trying to like develop that relationship a little too fast, but is what it is there. I agree. I think Chase Claypool, when we got him, we were like, oh, our number one. He's a number one on the Bears right now, and I don't think that was a question.
By default.
Yeah, by default, he was the number one. Mooney, slid into that number two, and it's fine, right? Like, there's nothing wrong with that because whether you like it or not, with a mixture of Fields and Dalton, Mooney was 1,000-yard receiver last year.
He was.
So you tap into that, back into that 2021 year, you've got a number two and a number three, along with a Cole Kmet tight end, who are going to be really good. They just need could you imagine if we had like a Devontae Adams, dude?
Oh my God.
If we had a Devontae Adams, it would open up everyone, the rushing game, everything.
Absolutely. And that's the thing. You mentioned Darnell Mooney last year, and he was a 1,000-yard receiver. That's because they had Allen Robinson, who was non-existent. But remember, Allen Robinson was at least a decoy. They still have to respect Allen Robinson and what he's able to do on the field. That's the reason why Mooney was getting the easier matchups, and he was able to get the balls that he got.
True.
You know what I mean? So that's what I'm saying. Chase Claypool right now, we even seen it this year. With the addition of Chase Claypool, we started to see more touchdowns and more activity from Mooney because, again, they had to respect Claypool being on that field.
Yep.
So once you pair him up with somebody like that, and then you add somebody else, someone like a Devontae Adams, because those wide receivers are special. It doesn't matter who you put on them; they're going to get open. They're going to get theirs. That's the wide receiver we're missing.
Yeah.
But at least for now, with Claypool, like I said, give him a full season, and then Mooney as the number 2 or number 3, and you'll start to see him be productive again for sure.
Yeah, and you mentioned them too. Another guy like AJ Brown gets his. Yeah. Devontae Adams, we said. Oh my God, who am I thinking of right now? Like a Cooper Kupp, a guy like that just needs to really Stephon Diggs. All these guys, we just need that number one. So, but yeah, again, Bears lose. There are some positives. There's some negatives. There's 3 games left on the season. We're still picking number 3 as of this week in the draft. They have the Bills next week at home, and
this week.
This week. Sorry, yeah. I got Monday Night Football playing. It's still week 15 for me.
Short turnaround this week.
Yeah, for real. And they got them at home. It's supposed to be like super cold. It's supposed to be snowy. So it looks like it's going to be a lot of the rushing game between Fields and Josh Allen. Regardless, though, who do you have in this game? Bills at Bears.
Easy, the Bills, and the only reason why, and I don't know if it's going to be too much. It'll be rushing on the Bears part because we don't have any wide receivers. But as far as the Bills, they're used to playing in this type of weather.
True.
It's not like we're getting a West Coast team like from California or something that, you know what I mean, that's coming to the cold, the snow. No, we're getting Buffalo, New York. We're getting the Buffalo Bills, who literally just played in a blizzard. Against the Dolphins.
Their fans had to dig them out of that one day. Remember that?
Yeah, they were throwing snowballs. And dude, that fan base is just amazing. They're
insane.
They're
insane.
Really they're really fun. But for sure, like we're getting the Bills here in Chicago. There is no factor that's going to benefit us here in Chicago at all. So the Bills are going to win easily. I'm viewing this game against the Bills the same way I viewed this past game against the Eagles. It's just a test. I want to see how this team looks, or at least not this team, because not this entire team won't be here next season. We're going to lose a lot of pieces, right? But I want to see the guys who are. I want to see what this defense, like Jalen Johnson, Brisker, the guys that showed up yesterday. I want to see what they're able to do against someone like the Bills. I want to see what Justin Fields can do against a defense like that. You know what I mean? So that's basically what I'm looking forward to, and hopefully we can keep it close and competitive like we did yesterday, and then lose, because that's a win for me. Yeah. I still want them to have a high draft pick. I want them to have 2. You know what I mean? So hopefully the Broncos win, but I want the Bears to have the number 2 draft pick. But I at least want to see Justin Fields again progress. I want to see him. I want to see this team compete. because to me, this team looks like with Justin Fields, like the Lions did last season when they were very competitive in each and every game. They would lose, but they were competitive and fun to watch.
Yeah.
That's what this Bears team is looking, and see what the Lions are doing this year. Maybe we can make that same success.
They're getting a lot of buy-in from the team for Dan Campbell, but I agree. I want to see what these rookies have. You know, they showed out they really did show out against the Eagles. I don't know if you, as a Bears fan, you can say they didn't or this team just straight out lost. This team really did do something well against this Eagles team, against a high-powered offense. Yep. Intercepted a MVP quarterback, right? Like he is up for MVP this year, and they intercepted him twice. So yeah, Josh Allen, another guy that is in the MVP talks, is been predicted to go to the Super Bowl. I do want to see what they do, especially like Jalen Johnson, Brisker, Gordon, Sanborn, even if he does get to play. Like, what can you do against a high-powered offense like this in the NFL that gives us hope for next year? But yeah, man, I also got the Bills winning this. And like you said, like I mentioned the weather just because I feel like Bears, Bills, like they play in this. It's still, it's anybody's game really, right?
Right.
It all depends on how the weather actually is. Is it like a blizzard, or is there snow on the ground and it's just freezing cold? Like what's going on exactly? But I've also got the Bills winning this. And honestly, after the performance I saw against the Eagles, it's not by much, man. It really isn't by much. I could predict probably like 7 points by maybe a touchdown. If they get lucky, maybe 3 points, but the Bills are going to win, but not by much. I think the Bears put up a really, really good fight against this Bills team.
They did put up a really good fight against this Eagles team this past week. But I want to be there right with you, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is a really close game, Rick. Mm-hmm. But there's just something about Josh Allen. He's a much different quarterback. Well, not really different from Jalen Hurts because he also runs.
Yeah,
but he's more of a passer. He's more of a pocket passer.
He's got that arm, man.
It really does.
Yeah.
This is a game I can see someone like Gabriel Davis or Isaiah McKenzie having a really good game and scoring touchdowns on us.
Yeah.
Stephon Diggs is obviously Stephon Diggs, but we're gonna have Jalen Johnson on him. But these other guys can really have success here. Dawson Knox had a game last week against the Dolphins.
Yeah. Caught a touchdown.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised if he goes off as well. I could see the Bills winning by double digits, maybe not like a big time blowout, but like something like 14-28. You know what I mean? Something like that.
Oh, okay.
Like a 14-point lead. 14 or 10-point lead.
Yeah. No, I don't know. I think it might be closer than that, dude. Honestly, it might be closer than that. The defense is going to play a little bit more inspired. Matt Eberflus has got that defense playing a little bit more inspired as of recently. So
yeah.
You say 14, I say about 7. We will get the other guys' scores later at 10. Yeah, I can see 10.
We'll give
meet in the middle. We'll meet in the middle. 10 points. 10 points. Bears lost. Take that spread.
What is the spread next week? Let me see.
Yeah. What's the spread for this game?
This is a minus, but they have Bills minus
-8.5. I might take that.
That's not bad. That's not a bad line. I like that. I kind of like that. And after all we talked about, like we said, like, yeah, that looks pretty good.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that was Bears Breakdown brought to you by Star 6 Media. If you guys are listening or watching, please hit that subscribe button on YouTube, on Instagram, on TikTok, Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, all the above. Like us, share us with your friends, with your family. Even the people you don't even really like, share us with them too, because why not?
Yeah, no, of course.
If you don't like them, you definitely want to share. If you don't like them, you definitely want to share us with them because we're awesome. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Just be like, look what I'm listening to, you loser.
Exactly.
Let's move on though to probably one of the more for Chicago sports right now. The C-Red segment, the Bulls, went 2-1 last the week prior, but this past week they just went 0-3. They lost 3 in a row.
3 in a row.
2 of them at home against the same team in the Knicks.
The same team, Rick.
Same team.
That just tells you in the playoffs they don't know how to adjust.
I mean, honestly, in the Knicks, I don't. Are the Knicks pretty good? I mean, they're 16-13. They got a good away record at 9-6, but I mean, one was an overtime, which, I could kind of get behind. 128 to 120, the first game against the Knicks.
Yep.
Second game against the Knicks, they lost 114 to 91, which is pretty much a blowout. And then the third game in a row, the Timberwolves, dude, absolutely annihilated them. 150.
150. You're giving up 150.
150. What do you?
I don't remember last time I seen 150 in the game.
That's just it. Like I feel like we always talk about the same things with the Bulls.
We do.
But oh my God, dude, 150 points to the Timberwolves, like that's just something else.
We do say the same things because it's the same issue. But there are different questions here because I'm looking at these stats, right?
Yeah.
And it almost seems like
these guys, like this past game against the Timberwolves,
you
had like 5 guys in double digits. You had your three big stars, all over 20 points.
Yep.
And you would think, seeing that, it's a good game, right? Because they did score 120 something points, 125, I think, right? It was the one 125, 150, or was it 126?
126,
126. So they did score 126 points. It's just their defense is horrendous, Rick. And
horrendous.
That's the issue. They're just they cannot stop. It doesn't matter who's on the court. They cannot stop them at all. And that's the issue. Offensively, you see it offensively. The second game against the Knicks when they lost, all 3 of them didn't even score 20 points. None of them did. So you could tell that when the offense is going, it's going. But it's defensively that's really hurting the Bulls. And again, I don't know how to fix that other than adjustments. What is I bring this up, right? Because it still bothers me. What is Billy Donovan doing? Like, what are you doing defensively to help? It's not like you have guys who aren't good at defense. I mean, Alex Caruso is great at defense.
Yeah.
You have a guy as big as Andre Drummond. DeMar DeRozan should be good at defense. Zach LaVine, if he wants to be the next big thing here in Chicago, he has to be a two-way player. But for whatever reason, they just can't get behind whatever he's coaching defensively, and it's very apparent. And that's why I feel like it's a coaching issue. I don't want to say it's too much talent, because being able to at least be tough on a defensive end is a skill that could be learned. It's just discipline. Yeah, it's all discipline and habits. Stay with your person, stay in front of them. Just pick up better habits on a defensive end, but they're not doing it, and that's the issue here. And
it's like you said, like, what is Billy Donovan doing? Is he even watching the same game we're watching sometimes? Like what? Why aren't you putting in Drummond instead of Vooch or something like that? Right? Like, let's get more rebounds. Let's get tougher in the paint. But it just seems like what we want the Bears to do, the Bulls are doing it, and the Bears aren't doing it. They're just throwing offense down your throat. Yeah. And it's like the defense is something the Bears have been doing pretty okay at, since forever. And the Bulls defense is just straight garbage. We saw last year there was a few games against the Bucks when Caruso would be on Giannis, or when you had a couple other guys on Giannis, and we're like, all right, they're playing inspired defense, right? Yep. Again, I said it last week, and I probably said it multiple times over the last few episodes. There's times when the Bulls would hold a lot of teams under 100 points, and it'd be like, wow, this is awesome. And now it's just nowhere near that. There's nothing to even look forward to anymore, because opponents are scoring 100 points on the Bulls pretty consistently. And I don't think there's been a game. I don't think there's been a game that the opposing team has not scored 100 points. I think the only one was the Raptors, and that was back in, oh my God, this was back in, I don't even know the date. Jesus, that's how long ago it was. This was back in November. This was back in November, the last time they held a team to under 100 points. November. And this was early November, like November. It's bad, man. What can we expect from the Bulls now? After last year, we expected, I don't want to say we expect another playoff run, but I felt like we kind of did expect it. Like, is that even in the future now?
No, what I expect is almost kind of like I don't want to say rebuild, but definitely them tearing down a little bit. If you're Arturas Karnisovas, right? What are you thinking, or how are you thinking to be able to fix what you see, right? If you're not going to switch to coaching, because he did get an extension, Billy Donovan.
Oh
if,
yeah.
Then if it's not if it isn't the coaching you're going to switch up, it has to be the players, right? Unless you have a really like serious sit down with Donovan and be like, I need you to really switch it up here, right? But if that's not going to happen, then it has to be the players. You have to have players that maybe fits the system that Billy Donovan is trying to run. That's the thing. It's a two-way process for me. You have the scheme and then you have the talent, right? And they have to mesh. They have to mesh well because the player, the coach draws up the plays. The players have to, execute them. But if the players aren't executing them, then it's the players. You got to get players that can. But if the players can execute, but whatever they're trying to execute isn't working, then it's the coach. You know what I mean? And I feel like to me it's both right now, Rick. I kind of feel like we're in a conundrum where you have players who aren't either the right fit for this system, and both have to change, in my opinion, because this system is not working defensively at all,
at all.
And and for whatever reason, these players aren't just they're not developing in my opinion.
No, I agree. And we talked about Billy Donovan's extension. It was a really low key extension, something that not a lot of us knew about. Like nobody knew about until it came out a couple weeks ago. And now we're questioning the coaching, right? And it's almost like, well, he's extended. What are we going to do exactly here, right? It's starting to become an issue because you talk about the system that Billy Donovan is trying to implement, and then you talk about the players, and it's like, okay, well, one of these has to go, but it's like, we just paid Zach this much money. We just extended Billy Donovan. So who's really going to go? Is anybody going to go? You talk about a rebuild and somewhat of a mini rebuild, right? Something like that is kind of, I'm assuming what you're getting at. And it's like, well, how can we do that is Zach going to be the guy we build around? Are we getting rid of Vooch? Are we getting rid of DeMar? Are we keeping DeMar? What about Ayo Dosunmu? So many questions because, again, is it the system that Billy Donovan is implementing, or is it the players that just maybe we do need to turn over a lot of these guys, except maybe a Zach or DeMar? And I actually posed this question to Eric last week. I don't know if you were on, if I asked you or not. Would you trade Vooch right now with how well he's been playing? Once it gets close to the trade deadline?
The way this team looks, yes. I don't want to trade Vooch. I was, out of the three of us, right? Me, John, and Eric, I was the one who was always high on Vooch because I felt like he was the one bright spot last season in the playoffs. But when we've seen Vooch, when offense is run around, like literally through him, he's an all-star. We've seen it in Orlando. We've seen it in the playoffs because that's how I feel like they were doing. They were running the offense by Vooch because they had to with DeMar DeRozan being doubled and Zach LaVine not being fully healthy.
Yeah,
and it works to an extent, right? The thing is, you do have DeMar DeRozan who can get any shot mid-range that he wants, and you do have Zach LaVine who you just pay a lot of money to. And I feel like that may be the issue with Billy Donovan and the way he coaches, is because he has to try to give. There's too many Chiefs, not enough Indians, I guess, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
There's too many Chiefs, not enough soldiers. I mean, there's too many Chiefs.
Yeah.
He knows DeMar DeRozan can get the ball. He knows Zach LaVine can get the ball, but he caters to someone like Zach because he gets paid.
Yeah.
And
what was the thing they were saying when Brooklyn got all those guys? Like, there's only one ball. There's only one ball, and you got Kyrie, you got KD, you got what's his face in there too. Like, there's only one ball. There's only one guy can score.
And that's why when I'm looking at these stats, I'm like, it seems like they don't know who to go with. You know what I mean? Because they're all having literally the same amount of points. DeMar DeRozan, there was one game where he had like 32 points, which is great, right? They knew that game was him, but it's like you got to pick a star, man, and that person has to be it. So to answer your question, trading Vooch, do I see them trading Vooch? Do I want him? I don't personally, but I think they need to because this team isn't working, and you got to find something different. If you're going to trade Vooch, what can you get back in return? I think Caruso is probably another guy that you could trade. Not that I want him to be traded, but there's definitely intrigue with him and Vooch around the league. Guys are going to want him. I can see DeRozan sticking around for a little bit, but again, he's another guy that I wouldn't be surprised is gone. the two people that we're stuck with right now is Zach LaVine and the coach Billy Donovan.
Yeah.
And,
and
I don't know if that's a good thing.
I was gonna say it almost sucks to say it because it really does feel like we're stuck with them. It doesn't feel like, oh, we got them. It's like, no, we're stuck with them. And with the whole Vooch trade thing, it's also I wanted the Bulls to get rid of him last year, but Kobe White, he has been contributing off the bench here and there, and he has been hurt for a couple games this season as well. But I think you got to package him in with Vooch. I think it's time to kind of cut it, because he was like the 4th pick or 7th pick, something like that, in one of the drafts. And again, I was a guy who was really high on Kobe White. He just has not worked out, man. It's nothing on him. It's just he's not worked out. Maybe he goes to another system that works out for him. We get some sort of trade value, whether it be like some sort of pick or something. I don't know. But I think you gotta package him in with Vooch. You got to package him in with Caruso, even though I would be kind of like sad to see Caruso go, because he is one guy that puts his heart out on the court every single night, and you see it. Like, he is running up and down, he's making plays, he's being like a pest defensively. Like, you love that guy. But as far as Kobe White, man, it's the experiment is over. We thought we had a guy, he was coming from Duke or North Carolina, I forget which one. But we thought we had a guy. We thought we had a point guard, and it just didn't work out. And it's fine.
A good comparison to where we're at right now as Bulls fans is where we were with the Bears when we had Mitchell Trubisky, and we started to realize this guy isn't it, right? For so long, we worried and we complained about not having a real quarterback. Mm-hmm. Now we can say we have one, right? With the Bulls, we're complaining and we're wondering, when are we going to get a real superstar, right? The last one we had was MVP Derrick Rose. Yep. He was the last superstar we had, and it didn't last for us, right? So it's like, when can we get that superstar? Just like with the Bears, when can we get that quarterback? We have it, but for us, when can we get that superstar? So you look at what the Bears did; they kind of had to get rid of Mitchell Trubisky to even realize, okay, this isn't it. They had to, and now you see what happened. They new head coach, new regime, new QB, and it seems like there's bright spots in our future. With the Bulls, the regime's not going to change anytime soon. No. The coach doesn't seem like it's going to change anytime soon. And then Zach LaVine doesn't seem like he's going to go anywhere anytime soon. So I guess the only thing I can say, and it sucks to say, but Bulls fans, buckle in, because we're going to be mediocre. We're going to be in mediocrity for so long. We're going to be a mediocre team for so long. For at least not for so long, but for the next 2 or 3 years until we decide
something happens.
Yeah.
I can already hear Eric going, I told you.
Yeah.
I told you.
Yeah. He really did. And I was high on the Bulls that year, Rick. I thought they could win a championship in the beginning of the season when they were going on that hot streak.
Me too. Like, and especially when it came to, like, what was it? They went 9-0 or right before they lost the game. I was like, this is insane. This Bulls team is like good again, right? This Bulls team is just good again. Like, it's insane. And it's just now, it's just like, no, it's no thanks. Like, I see the product. I don't like the product. No, thank you for this product. And the comparison to the Bears with Trubisky, I think so too, right? Because at that point, it seemed like, oh, we're stuck with Nagy. Oh, we're stuck with Trubisky. You're kind of hitting it on the head with Zach and with Billy Donovan. We got Eric here kind of saying the same thing. Blow it the fuck up. For real. At this point,
that's what
I think we should.
What else are we going to, what else
is there to do? I mean, you trade away Vooch, you trade away DeMar Rosen, and you're pretty much rebuilding. What are you going to get in return? Do you know what I mean? It makes no sense. Everybody wanted Anthony Davis because he started to get on this little streak and play really good basketball.
And then bam.
He's injury prone. And I've always said I do not want Anthony Davis on this team. Like, I would love an Anthony Davis, a healthy Anthony Davis when he plays well. But healthy is the bigger, is basically the concern, and I don't want that. So no,
that's the issue,
right?
Exactly. And man, I just you mentioned MVP D Rose, and I'm almost like, man, I wish I could just go back to 2008, 2009, when we had a legitimate superstar, but like basically at the turning of the tides in the NBA, where everyone was like, you need a top three. You need a big three to really win championships, right? You had LeBron, Bosh, and Wade.
Yeah.
And it was like, man, we got Rose. Noah was like an MVP, a defensive MVP a couple years.
Yeah.
He almost won MVP one year. Like, it was just, he was playing his heart out. We had him. We had a great bench.
You had Luol Deng.
Sheik.
You had Luol Deng. You had
Luol Deng.
Say what you want about Carlos Boozer, right? But I would say Carlos Boozer on this team right now.
I would take him too, dude. I would 100% take him.
But yeah, you had someone like Luol Deng. You had like you said, Joakim Noah. The bench mob was great. When you had Kyle Korver coming off the bench shooting the three, it doesn't matter who was backing up Derrick Rose. That
Captain Kirk,
that point guard was great. Captain Kirk Heinrich was a staple, right?
Yeah.
But that's the thing that the NBA is completely changed nowadays. Everybody wants to jack up threes, and it's way more offensive than it was before. But around that time is when like teams just barely started to team up. When LeBron went to Miami, that was literally like, as you mentioned, that was like the tide turning right there. Like, okay, like this is what people need to this is what teams need to do to win. And ironically, the Dallas Mavericks won that first year.
Yeah, that's true.
With Dirk Nowitzki, right?
With Dirk.
But you're right. But do you remember that feeling, Rick, when we had Derrick Rose? When we had Derrick Rose, and we knew it doesn't matter what the lead is. It doesn't matter who we're playing. Derrick Rose in the fourth quarter was unstoppable. Nobody. Every time. You knew. I haven't felt that in so long.
There was never a question, like you said, as to who is getting the ball at what point in the game.
Yeah.
Because it was always D Rose. It was always D Rose. Like you said, you had the bench mob. Kyle Korver would come off. Even remember Ben Bellinelli? Bellinelli, when we got him, he was a 3-point specialist too, man. They'd come off a Sheik. You'd have Taj Gibson. You'd had all these guys, but like at the end of the game, if you need 10 points and there's 2 minutes left, you give it a Rose every single time.
Stacey King said it best: MVP time. Fourth quarter, within those 2 minutes, it's MVP time.
Yeah, I miss that. I miss that type of basketball in Chicago. Yes. And like you and Eric said, man, it's not happening anytime soon. We know what's going to happen. It's, and I think we're really starting to have to really come to terms with the fact that we might need to get rid of DeMar. We're probably going to need to get rid of Vooch. We're probably going to need to get rid of Io. You know, hometown kid, you love it, and it's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. But you know, let's put that to the side. We already talked basically the funeral of the 2022-23 Bulls. Basically. There was a reunion. There was talks of a reunion with D Rose. The Knicks aren't playing him. He's not starting. I don't want to see that, especially on a terrible Bulls team. Do you think there's any chance Rose comes to Chicago again?
I think there's always a chance that he retires a Bull. You know, I think if closer to when he starts to hang it up, I wouldn't be surprised if it happens sooner rather than later. At this point, right, with this team, I wouldn't want that for him, because then it's like, bro, like you need to go chase a championship. You know,
yeah,
that's what he needs to do, is chase a championship, and you're not doing that with this team. So for him, I don't want it, but I would love to see him in a Bulls uniform once again. Just for nostalgic reasons, you know what I mean? Just because he was literally my favorite player for so long, Derrick Rose. I would love to see it for that aspect, but only when he's ready to retire. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
When he's ready to retire a Bull, it makes sense. But right now for him, no, he needs to go to a contending team, someone where he could get a ring, man, because he deserves it.
I agree, and the Knicks aren't bad, and he said it himself in an interview, like, hey, do you think? Are you mad that this guy's starting over you? And he's like, no, to be honest, no. I know I'm not playing well. This guy, we're winning. He's like, I've always been a team guy. I like to win. But yeah, like you said, I'd like to see him on a more contending team, you know, maybe actually win a champion. That game, I think, who was he with the Timberwolves when he scored 50 and he just started balling?
Yes.
Like that's what you wanted for him this entire time. He got rookie of the year.
You root for guys like him, man. He's so humble. He never lets the spotlight get to him. Even when he was MVP Derrick Rose, I remember that All-Star game when LeBron, Dwight Howard, Carmelo Anthony, Dwayne, when they came out, they were all dancing.
Yeah.
He's just humble, happy to be there.
Yeah.
Like, dude, like that's why Derrick Rose is by far my favorite player in the NBA, like all time. I'm serious, all time, because of who he was.
No,
like,
yeah, for sure.
He never changed for nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Even now, you know what I mean. I would love to see him just personal reasons, for selfish reasons. I want to see Derrick Rose back on here, but for him, it's not worth it.
I just want to see him on this team again, and then like during practice or something, just dunk on Dragic again, just for old time's sakes.
Someone leak a photo, like you know what I mean?
Sign the photo, Stacy. Sign it.
10-year challenge or something like that.
Yeah.
How it's been, how it's going.
Oh man, that would be hilarious. But
Eric
all right.
on this nope. Eric was the biggest Derrick Rose hater, but he is now. Before that, look, I've known Eric. I met Eric around that time. Right, we met in 2012, so it was around that time when Derrick Rose was really good, right? And he was just as big as Derrick Rose fan as anybody. So he's hating now, but I remember who he was and how he was back then. So
Facebook memories never forget, Eric.
Exactly.
All right, that was he's saying I'm just a realist.
No,
and you got to, like you said, I think you, Jose, you were saying it, I think, as well as anybody could. I would love to see Derrick Rose retire as a Bull, like on a one-day contract thing, whatever, because he does deserve to go out like that. He 100% deserves to go out like that. And I think all Bulls fans.
I would love his last season, his last full season.
Or that. Yeah.
Could
you imagine though? That would be awesome. Like game 82 at home.
Yeah.
He puts on the jersey one last time, and after that he retires. That would be really cool to see. That would be actually really cool to see.
Like a Kobe send-off. He just has his MVP form, just killing it, going crazy. Game-winning shot. That would be great.
Scores 51 for his all-time career best to be with the Bulls.
That would be amazing.
That would be great. That would be great. But all right, that was the Sea Red segment. Obviously, the Bulls are kind of in a downward spiral right now. The trade deadline is going to be interesting, I think, for AK and Vooch and a lot of these guys. So we'll keep an eye on that for all y'all. And I mean, it's tough to watch Bulls game right now. I'm not gonna lie, it's tough to watch a Bulls game right now. But
it's hard, so hard.
Yeah, it is. But we do it for you guys. We do it for all you guys who watch us here on Star 6 Media. Before we get into our next segment, though, Jose, I wanted to ask you what did you think of the Dansby Swanson pickup with the Cubs?
I liked it. Yeah, I did. You know what? Somebody I read a tweets like, dude, this Cubs team defensively is going to be amazing. I'm like, for real, because you're getting a Gold Glove winner in Dansby Swanson.
Yep.
And that's great when you're a pitcher and your defense got the guys behind you got your back. They're not going to give up too many errors or just own-headed plays. That's great. The confidence is there for a pitcher.
Yep.
So in that aspect, I like it. It's just got to see what we can get out of these guys offensively, because that seems to be the issue with this Cubs team. So, but I like it. I think that we needed it. We needed a shortstop. You cannot put Horner somewhere else. And man, let's go. Yeah.
All right. There was a Tony Baseball on the.
You don't get much baseball takes from me, so I hope that was great. Okay,
This is take on Dansby Swanson. Let's move on to the final segment of Big League Chicago. Again, brought to you by Star 6 Media. If you guys are watching, please subscribe, like us on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch. Hit that subscribe button, hit that follow button, share us, and rate us on anywhere you're hearing this on a podcast. But let's move to our last segment here, 4 stars of the week. If you are new to this segment, we kind of just go around the room, basically say the 4 stars of the week. There we go. There. See, Tony Football, much more professional than I am with the 4 stars of the week. But we go around, talk about the best 4 players, coaches, fans, anything Chicago based in the last week in Chicago sports. Jack did want to go first because he did say it before he dipped out. His first star of the week and the first star of Big League Chicago, first star of the week goes to Jalen Johnson for what he did on that Bears defense against the Eagles. And like you said, A.J. Brown is a guy who's going to get his touchdowns. He's going to get his catches, but you can only hope to contain him. And Jalen Johnson definitely contained them. This is near the sideline. He was just there being a pest to A.J. Brown. So the first star of the week goes to Jalen Johnson. We'll clap it up for Jalen Johnson. Good job against A.J. Brown. All right, Jose, you got the next star of the week. Who you got?
Oof. Next star of the week for me has to be David Montgomery.
David Montgomery.
He is so consistent with everything.
Yeah.
Demo's amazing. After that Justin Fields touchdown that got called back, right? That amazing running play. You almost knew it was going to go to David Montgomery, and he's just been very consistent, and he's just been playing very well this season. It's sad because you're not going to see much of him anymore. I mean, with this contract, we almost expect him leaving, right? So, but I want to give him his props now while he's still a Bear, because this entire season he's been great. So, David Montgomery, you're my star of the week.
Second star of the week, David Montgomery. He did have a rushing touchdown, and he caught a touchdown. So he had 2 touchdowns on this game. Like you said, give him props, man.
Yeah,
give him props, man. I mean, he's been doing his best ever since he put on a Bears uniform, really, even as a rookie, right? Like he did what he had to do. He's been one of those quintessential Bears running backs that the Bears just seem to have just a ton of every single year.
And with Herbert out, you would think the rushing game would have declined a little bit. No, it's been the same. It's because of guys like him and what he's able to do in that field.
Exactly. When Fields can't get it going, I mean, you look to guys like Herbert and Montgomery, and they just continue that consistency that makes the Bears, like, I think they're still number 1 in rushing or number 2, like top 5 at least, right? So definitely David Montgomery deserves that second star of the week. The third star of the week, Jack had another one here. Jared Tenorti took a punch in the face last night. Dude's a warrior. He was added to the injured list with a facial fracture. I'm assuming he is a Hawk, but I'm going to double check. But I mean, the hockey guys, right? Like Jared Tenorti. Yep. Nice hockey defenseman. Let me see what team he is on.
You gotta be tough to play hockey. 100%.
Oh, yeah.
Those pucks are rock solid. Every time I hold a puck in my hand, I always think about the guys who get hit in the face. I'm like, there's no way.
I know, dude.
I would die, Rick. There's no way.
Those things are so compact, bro.
Crazy.
It's ridiculous. He is a defenseman for the Blackhawks, and like Jack said, he got moved over to the injured list. So, huge props to those guys for just getting hit in the face, losing teeth, getting new teeth almost every other year, it seems like. But yeah, let's give props to that guy, Jared Tenorti, third star of the week. Last star of the week, my star of the week is going to go to Mallory Pugh, the Chicago Red Stars soccer team. She's like the number 1 recruiter for Chicago Cubs, I guess, because she brought her husband, Dansby Swanson, over to the Cubs. So huge. She is my star of the week. It's not Dansby Swanson. It's Mallory Pugh. Got to give her props for bringing her husband over. Recently married. Again, she is on the Chicago Red Stars soccer team. Brought Dansby Swanson over. Is like, hey, babe, let's just live in the same city and just, be superstars in a sport together.
Easier, right? Absolutely.
Right? I'm saying it's a good deal. But all right, that was 4 stars of the week. We had David Montgomery, we had Jalen Johnson, Mallory Pugh, and we had Jared Tenorti, all 4 stars of the week this week on Big League Chicago. And that is the show. Yes. Tony Football, you got any closing thoughts before I tell everybody where to find us?
Closing thoughts, you guys. Sports Drip Live is coming back this week. We have a pre-recorded episode that's going to air tomorrow, and then we're going live Wednesday. So we're double dipping here. All right, you guys are getting a little bit more content. So yeah, we're good. We're good to go. So make sure you guys tune in for that. And Bears, let's go Bears. Come on, let's go Justin Fields. I want to see Justin Fields continue his legacy here. Let's go.
Yep, let's go. It's gonna be against a tough Bills team, but hey, we just gotta keep it going. We gotta keep the positivity going. We gotta keep this rushing and passing and everything going for the offense. So
Christmas Eve, Rick's Christmas Eve. So yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. Happy holidays to everybody.
Yeah, happy holidays, everybody. Oh, I did actually. I'm glad you brought that up. I did just want to say probably next Monday, the 26th. Probably no episode of Big League Chicago live. We might do something Tuesday or Wednesday, depending on because we all got our family stuff to do. So no episode of Big League Chicago, at least live next week, Monday. So everybody, like Jose said, enjoy your holidays. Happy holidays, Jose, to you, to your family, to Eric, to Jack, to John, to Alex, to Ross, to Kyle, everyone on the Star 6 Media family. Happy holidays to all y'all. And where can you find us? It's here on Star 6 Media to listen to Big League Chicago. You can find us on YouTube, on TikTok, on Instagram, on Twitch, on Facebook, and we're on Twitter now. The ad is a little different on Twitter. It's @_Star6 Media.
There you go.
But yep, go follow us and like us there, where you guys can listen to not only Big League Chicago, EAFP with Eric talking everything soccer, only football with Kyle and I going over all the football madness going on in this 2022 season. JCA Sports live on Wednesdays going over everything national sports.
Yep.
Sports Strip Live, like Jose said, live on Wednesdays now, coming back. You got your boxing, you got your MMA, you got your wrestling, all sorts of good stuff there on Sports Strip Live. 3 Up, 3 Down, all the MLB news you guys want, and Slot Shot, Hockey Potter, newest podcast with Ross, Alex, and Jack, talking everything hockey. Guys getting punched in the face, pucks to the face, all sorts of good stuff.
That's a really good podcast, guys. That hockey podcast is legit. I was watching the other day. I'm like, these guys are good.
They're funny, man. They're hilarious. It's a good time with Jack, Alex, and Ross there. So again, that's what you can find here on Star 6 Media. But yeah, man, great episode. Go follow us, like I said, and we will see you guys next time.
Absolutely.
See ya.